All right, listeners. Well, I have a special treat for you. I can't believe I haven't interviewed this guy yet. I have probably one of the biggest home inspectors, one of the fastest growing home inspectors in the country on the line from Atlanta, Georgia, Rob Lemoine, like Des Moines, Iowa, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, and I do know this guy. It's not like I don't know him. But how you doing this evening, Rob?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for coming on. It's hard to catch Rob because he's got like kids playing hockey and he's traveling and he's moving all around. But Rob, give us a little introduction and tell us a little bit about you so the listeners, don't know you, would like to know you.
All right. So I'm Rob Lemoine with Residential Inspector of America. We go by RIA. We're in Atlanta, Georgia. The company is run by myself and my wife. I've been in the business pretty much my entire life. I kind of grew up in the business. My dad started it, and just got in with him when I was a kid and followed him around and just learned the business, and here we are.
Now, you guys started out as a pest control business, correct? Was that?
Yeah. So we also started a pest control business in 2008, and we sold that business in 2014. And now my wife and I, Kat, have started a new pest control business. So we started that in June.
Okay. Now, at what point, because home inspection, it wasn't even, did he always, at what point did y'all add home inspection, or your dad add home inspection? Because it wasn't even a thing if you go far enough back, I think.
Yeah, home inspections was first. So he started in 1989.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I was what, 8th grade or so, 7th, 8th grade when that happened.
Okay.
I drove around in the summers and typed reports for him and I drove when I was in high school. Right. Test outlets and windows, stuff like that for him back in the day. So that's how I kind of learned the business.
Cool. You knocked out both number one and number two. So how many inspectors do you have currently, and what was it like to hire that first one? Because a lot of guys struggle with training that first one.
So currently we have 26 home inspectors, all working in Atlanta. They're kind of all over Atlanta. We're about an 80-mile radius or so. We've got some plans to expand to other markets, so we'll have some more inspectors in other markets soon. Hiring the first inspector, so that one was done by my dad back in the early days, and so my dad's a real business-minded person, so I don't think it was that difficult for him to get out of the way and get that done. I mean, we can talk about some of the strategies behind doing that and why you do it, when you do it, and stuff like that if you want to. But yeah, it was him that hired the first one. And I myself did inspections for 10 years, so I had to kind of wean myself out of the field too and replace myself at one point too.
Awesome. Well, you brought it up. I'll dive deep on that. So for the listeners, when is a good time to hire an inspector? If they're a single man operation, they're a single person operation, they're really busy. They're, the drill, staying up late, doing reports, 2-3 inspections a day. How do you do it? How did you manage to wean them off of you to if I was a one-man operation wanting to expand, what would you do?
So if you want to expand your one-man operation, the first thing you got to do is you got to get operations and growth in order. Whether that's, somebody you hire part-time, whether it's your wife, whether it's your family, whatever it is, because you can't wear all the hats. So you've got to get those factions of the business in order first. If you want to get consistent growth, you got to put in a growth machine. So you have to have a growth strategy. You have to have somebody that's constantly marketing the business, whether that's you or somebody else. That's what you have to have. So if you want to be able to support another home inspector in your business, you're going to have consistent growth. I would, if it was me and I was, doing inspections by myself and I was looking to hire my first guy, I'd probably look at bringing in probably a part-time to full-time like operations person who can also do some growth activities, like do some presentations and follow-up calls, cold calls, stuff like that, to help me get some traction in the market to where I can, support another inspector. And then I eventually would just draw a line in the sand. If most guys really never figure out how to get out of the field and they think it'll just happen one day, and they wake up 10 years later and they're still bumping up on the ceiling of, trying to get out of the field, and it just never happens unless you draw a line in the sand and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, take the short-term hit with money or whatever it is in order to get out of the field. I mean, we're all pretty much get in our own way, really, when it comes to inspection business. We got a whole lot of guys in this business that get in their own way, and they won't take the right steps because the steps to do it it's hard. It's not easy.
Well, speaking of getting in your own way, let's talk about me for a minute.
Yeah.
You and I talked. We've had talks, and I was the marketing person for our business forever. And I had the marketing thing, like a lot of people have the inspecting thing, where they feel like nobody can do it as good as me, and and that's like this mental thing you have to get over because you can't scale yourself. It's the problem.
Right.
You can't do every inspection. And I scaled the inspectors pretty well, but the marketing thing was hard for me. And you'll be glad to know I have hired a marketing person, and I have gotten out of the way. It wasn't the first one didn't work out. It just
yeah.
I can tell you about that. But it's what I think is going to stick. But I want to ask you, like, when did you pull the trigger on a marketing person? And you have 4 of them, right?
We do. We have an entire growth team. So we have 4 marketing reps and a leader. So there's 5 people in that division.
Wow.
Which delivers consistent agent capture to our business, which delivers consistent growth, which allows me to predict a little bit better on how many inspectors to hire, when to hire them, and it keeps our schedule more consistent. Of course, we're going to have dips in this with seasonal changes, stuff like that, like this time of year, but it's not drastic, and we don't have ups and downs. So we're always fairly consistent on the amount of inspections per week because our growth machine is turning all the time. It never stops. So if you think about it, if I have 4 people doing it, that's 8 hours a day times 4 people is 32 hours a day. RIA is getting marketed out in Atlanta. And so for 32 hours a day, that's what's happening. But that's what it takes to support 26 home inspectors. You got to do that and to achieve a growth level.
Yeah.
And
one of those markets you're expanding to is not Charlotte, is it?
Might be one day, maybe. So we had a growth person back in the mid 2000s, but we didn't know what we were doing. To tell you the truth, like, we didn't know what to do with that person, and my wife and I did the job for a couple of years, kind of like you, and we figured out what to do, and we figured out some very simple things to do, and our growth people just repeat it over and over and over and over, and it works. And it's the hardest thing to do as a business owner is to stop being the lid or the bottleneck on your business and just get out of the damn way. Like you were saying, you want to do the marketing because you don't like and do it as good as you. And it's a hard thing to do just to get out of the way. But when you do, and you empower other people and you pour into other people, your business takes off. It goes on warp speed when you do that.
Right. No,
it's really, really hard to do it.
Well, now I've got to follow up. You left the door open there, so I got to follow up. So, and I'm sure listeners are sitting there going, all right, well, Rob, tell us, you and your wife figured out what to do, and you taught this team of people what to do. Well, give us some actionable steps. I mean, I know you can't tell us every single thing they do, but what would be the cliff notes of what this team does?
Well, you got to put in a strategy first. So, I mean, your strategy needs to be as simple as you can possibly make it. Like, I need you to be able to tell me what you do in a couple of minutes. You should be able to explain your strategy and not be complicated. So it needs to be something simple. You need to have a simple message that's compelling, that you can tell somebody very quickly and everybody understands it. So no matter what that message is, I don't care what it is, just make it simple and then say it over and over and over across all your channels, website, emails, phone calls, all that kind of stuff. So you need to have your marketing people out there with that simple message, just hounding, just nailing it into people.
Hounding, I like that.
Yeah, hounding. So that's the start of it, and then so your strategy's got to be simple. It's got to be measurable. You need to know, is your marketing person, whatever they're doing, is it measurable? So I don't think putting flyers out across the whole town in offices is measurable. But we don't do that. So we do intentional type of marketing and growth activities. We don't put flyers everywhere. But and then you have to be, your strategy has to be accountable. So you have to be able to hold those people accountable. Did they hit their numbers? Did they make the right amount of phone calls? That kind of thing. So, so the things we do, like, we do presentations, of course, at real estate offices like everybody else in the whole world does. One thing we do though is we'll follow up the next day. So we're following up, we're calling every agent that was there, we're emailing every agent that's there, we're asking them for the business. And that's what most home inspectors don't do. They're good at doing the presentation. Next day they're off doing home inspections. They're not following up, asking for the business. We're doing that. So we're going to follow up, ask for the business. Or cold calling real estate agents. Our growth people have to make a certain amount of cold calls every single week, and they're cold calling and asking agents to sit down with us and let us talk to you about some things that we do that can help save you time, effort, and energy, Mr. and Mrs. Agent. And we'd love to tell you about those things and see if we're a fit to partner together for a few inspections and you give us a try. So we do that. It's something that we always do, and we're constantly calling our brand new agents that come into the company. We're calling agents that haven't used us in a while. We're emailing agents. We're following up. We're always asking for business. That's kind of what they do on a daily basis. So they do have some offices they visit, but they don't just run a route.
Sure.
Very intentional about what we do.
So let me ask you, you kind of explained, like, when you cold call, I guess you're basically trying to get a coffee with them or something like that to sit down and explain what you do. Tell me, like, and you mentioned it several times, you do follow up and ask for you call and ask for the business. Can you give us sort of and I don't, mean to pry too big into your, I know that there may be some people from Atlanta that will listen to this thing, but I'm curious myself. How does that call go? I mean, how does that script go down?
For a cold call?
Yeah.
So
a cold call and a follow-up. Yeah.
So a cold call, or just you got to call and you got to be, super excited to be on the phone with them. You got to be smiling. You take some pages out of Drew White's book. If you want to know about cold calling, some you guys, whoever's listening, call him and ask him.
Smile and down.
Yeah. So, you got to be super excited and pumped up about what you do and say, I know you're busy and, but you've got this new thing, whatever your thing is for your company, and say, I think it'll really, really help your clients and it'll make you look good and it'll save you time. Agents want to save time, effort, and energy. That's what they want. So if you can find something that fits that, and you can call them and say, hey, I think this will bring a lot of value to you and your team and your clients. I'd love just to sit down for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I'll come meet you somewhere. We'll have a coffee, and I'd love just to sit down and see, let me learn about your business and how we can kind of fit into that and make your life easier, and we'll partner together. And so then we also have a whole strategy of, what to do when you sit down with these people and what you ask and how you ask it and things like that. And so most times the agent will at least try you if you are with them. I mean, we've picked up hundreds and hundreds of agents from cold calling.
Wow. That's great, man.
And it doesn't cost you anything.
So basically,
you don't have to buy lunch or anything. So.
Yeah. So basically this team is doing presentations and calling mostly. Would you say that's majority of what they do?
Yeah. So they'll do, typically a couple of presentations a week. Of course, we're paid vendors in some offices, like everybody is. So we do our normal 5-minute spiel or whatever, buying the lunch and all that kind of stuff. So they do that, and then they're stopping by a couple of offices a week to try to set up a presentation. Using a connector or something like that. They'll find a big RIA fan that's in one of these offices. They'll call them and say, hey, Miss Agent, I know you love all the stuff we do. Who do I need to talk to in your office to be able to come share this with all your agents? And then they get that name and they go to that name in the office and they drop the name of the big RA fan and get us in. And so they try to go to some offices to get presentations. So it's an intentional visit to those offices. It's not to go in there and put our flyers out. It's to go in with the intent of getting a presentation to get in front of agents to talk to them. And then from there, the next day, our follow-up process starts. So they're calling the agents on the phone and then followed up with an email right behind, and then just kind of sticking with that process. So, and then every single week, our marketing people, they call every new agent that comes into the business. So a new agent for us would be a first-time user of the company. It's never used us before. They call every one of those. They've got what we call have not heard agents. So agents that have used us, but not in the last 120 days. They call agents every week. they're stopping by their vendor offices every week. So they have a pretty busy week. We have certain targets that they have to hit by the end of the week. Kind of measure them and make sure that they're hitting those targets, because we know if they hit those targets and they bring in a certain amount of new agents, we know we're going to grow. You know, given a normal real estate market, we know we're going to grow. And so we're trying to average about 24 new agent captures per week is what we bring into the business. So some weeks we're at like 35, 40, some weeks we're at 20. And so I'm looking to average about 24 a week. If I get that and we get normal agent retention and we give a normal real estate market, we are going to grow. There's no, so I can kind of predict, hey, I'm going to need, 3 inspectors this year. I'm going to need 6 or whatever it is.
That's good stuff, man.
A problem that we all deal with is a capacity problem. Like there are 9 months of the year, we have too much inspections and not enough inspectors. And then this time of year we have the opposite, right? So we always deal with a capacity problem. And so we're trying to figure out how to predict our growth a little bit better so we can solve that problem. Because I'm sure you had the same problem. We lost hundreds of inspections in a small window of time, through the spring and early summer.
Yeah, because you're booked out like 10 days and they need the inspection tomorrow, and then like you said, this time of year, you're, just hoping nobody quits. You try to keep everybody busy, and it's funny. Yeah. I mean, you have different types of problems, in the summer, man, like guys like don't want to drive very far. They're like, man, give me a break. You're killing me. And in the winter, they don't mind driving to Salisbury or something, which is on the upper part of our category.
Right.
Now, Rob, you said something once. We were talking. You said something. See if I can get this. And I'm hoping you'll pick up on it where I'm going. That you like, because a lot of people always go after the big fish. The big real estate team. That's doing all. But I think you alluded to you like more the newer agents or the not as big, or say, and maybe I was. And you kind of explained it, but can you explain it again? I mean, like, it sounded like the big fish wasn't your main target. You like everybody else, I think.
Yeah, that's close. So I would say I like the big fish. I don't like the whales.
Right.
So the ones that are doing mega amounts of business with luxury properties and everything else, that is not in our wheelhouse, right? So I want an agent, a perfect agent for me is maybe one that does 20 buyer side deals a year. That would be perfect. That's an agent that we can do our normal process. It doesn't yank us out of our process. They don't ask for special treatment. They're not asking us to bend our rules and things like that for them. And so that's kind of the wheelhouse for us. And that's what's made us successful. Like we haven't gotten out of what we're good at. We're not good at doing $5 million homes. And I mean, we can do them, of course. We have those and they come in and we can definitely do them just like everybody else, but it pulls you out of your process. It changes your scheduling around. You're putting 2-3 guys on these inspections. That's not how you become successful in the long run, unless that's your niche, which is not our niche. So if there's a luxury agent, like we don't even try. We don't even go after them because we know that we're not going to be a fit for them, and I won't be able to provide the value to them that somebody who specializes in that kind of thing. And there are companies that do that and do well at it, but we're a volume business, so I want that, $250,000 to $500,000 house, and I want it 45 times a day.
Right. Me too. Send some up this way. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, I mean, I'm always impressed when I talk to you, and I'm always feeling like I need to go work out or something afterwards because I'm not worthy. I think I'm doing good until I talk to Rob, and I'm like, damn, man. Yeah, I'm going around putting out flyers. But on the other end of the spectrum, if somebody was just going into the business today, what would you tell them with all your knowledge, Rob? Just somebody deciding they want to be a home inspector, besides come to work for you, but let's say they weren't in your market, they were somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, you saw them at a bar, like, Rob, I heard a lot about you. What advice do you have for them?
I would say first find out, what your vision is, what is your goal? Why are you doing this? What's kind of your driving force or your why? Is it because you just love to be a technically minded home inspector? And that's perfectly fine if that's what you want to be. Or do you want to be a business owner? You know, which one do you want to be? So if you want to be the home inspector, then you can do that and probably make good money and do it for, you know, until you're 75 years old. If that, you know, that's what you want to do. And a lot of people do that, which is fine. If you want to be a business owner, I would be immediately looking for, you know, the replacement in the field immediately. So, but to do that, you're going to have to do some things that you probably don't want to do, which would be probably some cold calling, things like that, because you got to accelerate growth going quickly. So probably one of the first things I would probably do is, like I said earlier, would be to hire somebody that can do some operations and some growth. So I would hire maybe somebody that could answer the phone, handle some admin stuff to make sure that when, you know, me as the inspector, when I'm in the field, I can really concentrate on capturing those agents, doing a good job, making sure those agents use this again. They can have this person in, you know, answering the phone and doing all the silly stuff that goes on all day long. And then also calling real estate agents, cold calling, visiting offices, all that kind of thing to accelerate, you know, what I'm doing. And then as soon as I have the opportunity, I'm pulling an inspector in. I mean, that's kind of what I do. Once I replace myself in the field, I would go where I can make the quickest impact financially in the business. So that would probably be operations. I'd go right to operations and start looking at, you know, what is my closing rate when somebody calls me? You know, what's my percentage of add-on sales that I do? I'd be looking at all these things that can increase profit and bump you up financially. That'll help support this new inspector I've got out in the field. You know, because I got to find a way to pay this guy and me still make money too. So I'd go right to where I can make the biggest impact. And that's usually closing percentage. It's usually, you know, how many things can I add on to the inspection to increase the average ticket of the inspection? You know, I'd be doing that. And then once I had that, you know, maxed out, then I'd start looking at, I need to hire a marketing person, get somebody out there constantly marketing the business. Because if you get somebody marketing 8 hours a day, your business drastically changes. And, you know, within 90 days, it'll change.
Nice. What along those lines? I mean, you obviously sage advice there, and obviously through experience, and you're obviously a good businessman. Do you have any books or podcast, anything, anybody that you follow that, I mean, or that you recommend that, you know, that the listener would benefit? I mean, obviously, you probably your dad, you got some of this from, learned some of it along the way, but I'd be willing to bet you've read some books and you follow some people or something as well.
Yeah. So right now, what I'm doing now is a podcast would be Ed Milet. Ever heard of him?
No, I hadn't. I'll write that down.
Ed Milet's a great podcast. Entree Leadership is a good podcast.
That's Ramsey, right? Yeah.
That's his group. Yeah. That's a good podcast. I'm currently reading Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi.
Yeah.
That's a good book. I've got, you know, tons of books and stuff like that, you know, but mostly what I'm doing now is reading and learning how to be a better leader so I can develop our leadership team and pour into those people, because they're really the ones that are going to break through ceilings for this company. And
right.
And I guess about a year ago, Kat and I were hitting a ceiling. We were a big, successful home inspection company, but like we were hitting a literal ceiling. We couldn't go any further.
Right.
Until we just said, you know what, we're going to get out of the way and we're going to develop people. We're going to succeed through others. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to develop our leadership team. And we have absolutely taken off since we did that. And it seems counterintuitive because you're like, oh, we're going to pay all these extra people to, you know, to do what you're doing and stuff like that. But it's the only way to go through ceilings is through other people. And you can get what they want, and you'll never want for anything if you can help somebody else get what they want. And that's the stuff that kind of I'm after, you know, now as far as learning and kind of bettering myself at this point.
Right. Yeah. There was I wish I could find this quote. I think it was Dan Kennedy. He had this quote, I wish I could find it. I read it somewhere. It was something, we become entrepreneurs because we think we can do something better. And that's why we do it. And then in the beginning, we do everything. But then to grow, we systematically have to dole out little bit by little bit until we're not doing anything anymore except overseeing. I mean, we are, but we're overseeing. But it's hard for us to give things away because that was the reason we became an entrepreneur to begin with. And it's hard for us to let go of really hard for me.
I mean, really, at some point, my job and Kat's job is to find talent and develop them and support them to succeed. I mean, that's when you boil it all down, that's what our job is becoming. And so we're putting everything into our leadership team for that reason.
Awesome. Now, when you say your leadership team, who does, if you don't mind, I hope I'm not getting too, who does that consist of?
So we have a services director. He's over all the services in the business. So that would be home inspections, radon testing, sewer scopes, all that kind of stuff. And then we have an operations director who's over all operations, admin, scheduling, inside sales, stuff like that. And then we have a growth director who's over all the sales functions, all the salespeople. We also are having a new director, which will be an expansion director, who's going to be over expansion markets and starting other markets for us. So that's the leadership team that we spend a lot of time together. They're completely in charge of their part of the business. They're empowered to hire, fire, discipline people, make some changes in the business. I want them to truly drive those parts of the business.
Right.
Them to be managers and just do what me and Kat tell them to do. That's not what we want. So we're investing a lot into these people and, sending them to leadership conferences and, and really working with them so that they can truly run their division, and they're doing it, and so it's a really good feeling to just say, look, we're helping these people get what they want in life, and they're pushing this company forward, and Kat and I don't have to do it all.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Hi, I'm Preston Sandlin, and I own Home Inspection Carolina, and I wanted to show you a way that you can get more home inspection leads. So what you can do, you obviously can do a pre-inspection, but I understand some people don't want to do that. But what it is, we set out a sign, and this sign is going to have information about the house. When you text that, you can have information about the house. You could have a home inspection discount. You could also lead them to a website. So this is my daughter, Sarah Margaret. Say hi.
Hi.
So Sarah Margaret, you pretend like you're buying this house, and I want you to text. You're riding by, doing a kiki dance, whatever, and you see, hey, I'm interested in this house. I'd like you to text info to that number, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead and do that now. She's interested in the house. So for more information on this house, she's going to text that and a home inspection discount. Okay, so I just got the lead in the buyer. Now, you should get something in a second. So what'd you get? So click on the top one there, yeah. So you'll see what she gets. So she's going to get information about the house. And meanwhile, I got the lead. All right, so scroll up just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. So there's like a little video about the house. Of course, your phone's really slow. There's multiple pictures of the house and whatnot. And well, there goes the video finally. I'm gonna have to edit this a little bit. But the cool thing is, read what it says there. Read that out loud, Samara.
This is a demo house. It is not for sale. It is for demonstration purposes only. Information about the house would go here if this house was actually for sale. If you are interested in getting a home inspection, call 704-542-6575 with the code HIC 2018. You can receive a $23 discount on a home inspection on this house or any house you decide to buy in this area. Discount code HIC 2018. 704-542-6575.
Okay. Now, well, I talk a little bit. Text that same number, text info1. You can just use the same number, text info1 now. So what I'm going to do is show you how we did a couple of other things with it. But again, the whole thing is to drive leads. Now I have the lead and I can follow up with her. She's a potential buyer. I can do a drip campaign. Let me go one. Now click on that. What you got for no, top there. Edit this. See how there's a discount code there. Home inspection discount. All right, last one. Go back to that same text and text info 3. So this is something of value that's not a discount code. It's an inspection list. So I can put that sign anywhere. And again, see, I'm getting the lead. So I'll click on here to the lead. And you see, I just got these leads. Is your number 704-7? Oh, I better not say that out loud because guys will be calling you. But obviously, all right. So did you do info 3? Mm-hmm. All right. Now click on that top one and make show what that shows on there. So all 3, I captured the lead. I did information about the house with a home inspection discount. I can connect it to a URL that has a home inspection discount, a URL with a something giveaway, that's checklist, radon information, you name it. But we capture the lead. So everybody who texts this, we get that home inspection lead. They're gonna need a home inspection. They're also gonna need probably a realtor. So the realtor is gonna like us as well. So check out inspectedhouses.com. It's a new way to get leads for your home inspection business and leads for the realtor as well. Thank you.
Well, my next question goes back, my listeners, and I promise not to get too technical. Rob and I we talked in the we know each other, we're texting each other. He's like, man, I haven't done a home inspection in a while myself. And I was like, I haven't either. I didn't want to get too much into, I think I could still do it, but it would take me longer than most of my guys. But doing the volume that you're doing, I am very curious. I hope this doesn't border into being technical, but obviously not everybody's going to be happy. I don't know if it's probably one of those people you said handles this. How do you handle, callbacks? And especially, I learned, there's obviously training, you try to do better defensive writing and all that, but I don't care who you are. A certain number of inspections, you're going to have a certain number of callbacks. How do you process? What's that look like?
Yeah, so we have, 2 a day maybe. People call and complain with it. And some of those, I say they're complaints, but some of them are people wanting to make a claim on our 90-day warranties. And so that's not really a complaint, but so a customer inquiry, I guess. So about 5% of our inspections get one of those, and so we'll do probably 8,500 inspections this year. So you can do the math on that. So it's it's hundreds of little issues that come in. 99% of the time we did nothing wrong, of course, as probably most home inspectors would say that same thing. So we have a process that goes through, of course. So the complaint goes into the office. Our staff knows exactly what to do with it. They send them our support link to where they can go to our online portal and put in their issue. They also slide dial the client. So I don't know if you guys know what that is, but that's when
it doesn't ring. It just goes straight to voicemail.
Straight to their voicemail. So they slide out and say, hey, I'm sorry to hear about your issue. We'd be happy to review it. So here's what you need to do. I also sent you an email to look at. So check that out. And then as soon as you submit for us, we'll review it all. And so that gets them to at least get to where they can submit it, and they have to write everything out. They have to put it in a format to where we can review it and evaluate it and stuff like that. And then from there, we make our response, or let the warranty company make their response. So that process happens a couple of times pretty much every single day. And most of the time, I track everything. So I know exactly how much money we've paid out. I know how much money we've been paid out on warranties. I know all that stuff. So we track all that. We keep a spreadsheet for where every complaint stands, so we know is it a response we need to make? Are we waiting on the customer to do something? So I'm tracking all that. And most complaints end with no activity. Like you tell them to do something, they never do it, and it just eventually goes away. And then of course we have the escalations that, you know, the agent gets involved and they go tell their broker and it becomes a big issue, in which we try our best to resolve those. And I would say, yeah, we pay out a lot of money when we did nothing wrong, you know, just to keep everybody happy, and it's just the cost of doing business. So, you know, we'll pay out probably about 1/3 of 1% of gross sales when it's all said and done from RIA, and then other stuff is from, you know, warranty claims and stuff like that. So there's definite process. I would say if you're a company and you don't have a process, I would get one. It doesn't matter what that is, but every single complaint should go through the exact same process every single time. And that way your people and your business know exactly what the process is. Everybody knows who's responsible for what, and everybody has canned responses to give the client. So every client gets the same response. And you can even can your responses to certain issues. Like, you know, you're always going to get HVAC and roof issues. So you can have canned responses to those to where it's more formalized, and you can move it along the process really well to where it'll eventually, you know, you can get a resolution to it, and where most people will leave, you know, happy. That's the goal anyway.
No, it's good, man. It's good. Again, I'm going to leave this thing just feeling like, golly, Meg, we got to redo our company. We're mom and pop kettles.
Yeah, there's a trend where, I mean, I've tracked complaints for several years. It is rising.
Yeah.
You know, percentage to the number of inspections, it is rising. There's a trend of agents getting involved and things like that, where we used to not have that kind of thing. We even get complaints before the people even close on the house. So that's something that's new. So, and then when you start having marketing and salespeople like we do, if, you know, they kind of are in an office and an agent will approach them and say, hey, you know, you did an inspection and this and this and this, and a bad spot, you know, and they get all worried about it because it affects their livelihood. You know, they're getting commission based on how many inspections we do. So it's a real fine balance, you know, fine line we walk, and, you know, and that's typically why we pay out on issues where we don't feel like we did anything wrong, is because I want to keep everybody happy and keep the marketing people, you know, rolling and all that kind of stuff. So it seems to work, but you have to kind of compartmentalize them, because they will drag you down.
Oh yeah, man.
I don't think when you get to a volume size, it can't be some one person's job, because it'll beat them to death. And so you have to, you really have to just take the emotion out of it and kind of segregate yourself from it and do the best you can with it. So of course it irritates you still. It irritates me a lot, you know, and I don't even handle most of it. And it still is really irritating, but you can't get tied down in the negativity. You have to move the business forward. You have to remember the 99% of the clients that you're making really happy, and you got to move forward, or you'll drown yourself in those complaints.
Yeah, that best thing I ever did. My operations guy handles them, unless it's, I mean, he has he can do a refund. He can, he has a certain amount of money he can spend. If it gets beyond that, I don't want to hear about it, honestly, until maybe like the end of the month, because if I hear about the day-to-day stuff like that, it's hard, man. You're getting ready to go do a presentation, and, like your Usain Bolt thing, where, you got to get, ready. And then you get some negative thing like that right in your mind. It's just hard to be Mr. Happy. You know what I mean? It's like, you're pissed off,
Yeah. It's kind of like watching the news. I mean, it's just nothing but negativity.
Yeah.
So not to watch it, at some point. But, I think, like, if you're a one-man home inspector, you have to deal with them yourself. But, you need to put in a process. Even if you're the one handling that process, it needs to be a process that you go through.
Absolutely.
Just don't do it off the cuff. It'll make a mess.
Well, one more kind of negative question, then we'll go more positive. What and maybe what you alluded to earlier, what's the toughest time you and Kat ever had in your business, and what did you learn from it? I mean, you're obviously rolling now, but I know you've struggled at some point.
We struggled a lot, and during when we had the recession in 08, 09, that time period, we had a lot of family in the business. It really strained, family relationships and things like that. We lost about 50% of the business at that time. Had high overhead at that time, so it was a struggle to get through that time period. And what we learned a lot during that time. Those times where you struggle and suffer are the ones you really remember. Like,
Oh yeah.
remember the wins as much as you remember those times. I mean, because you can vividly remember, those moments in time when you're struggling like that. And so that taught us a lot. I mean, it taught us how to run the company a little bit leaner, and it taught us some lessons about how to go through a market turn down or a recession, things like that. So I feel like when it happens again, and it's going to happen again, we're going to struggle, we're going to suffer again. It's going to happen. But I think we're way more prepared this time for that kind of thing to happen. We kind of know that we're not going to take our ball and go home. When this happens, we're gonna turn the dial up even hard and even higher when it happens. We're gonna go harder. So when it happens again, we're gonna gather the team. And we're gonna be like, you guys are gonna work more for the same money that you're making right now. You're gonna do more work, and that's what it's gonna take to get us through this and everybody get through it whole. And
Sure.
And so when everybody else takes their ball and goes home, we're gonna bombard everybody, and we'll come out of it with more market share.
Yeah, market shares. That's the thing. In a down market, you can get market share because it's cheap.
You grab it on the way out of the down market. And but we went through a tough time there, and so like I said, we learned a lot, and it definitely changed us, and it definitely kind of gave us our business chops. That and working in pest control for a lot of years kind of taught us how to run a business.
Sure.
And now we're figuring out how to truly lead a business, not just run one.
Sure. Now you talked a lot about you do presentations and a lot of calls, cold calls, follow up. You guys do any social media, or any of your folks do social media? And if so, any tips for anybody out there?
Yeah, I don't know if I have tips. I mean, we do the normal post and stuff like that. That's not something that we're real strong in, to tell you the truth. We're just a relationship based marketing company. I would say that's anything electronic or internet based or social media based. We're fairly weak in, but we do have people in charge of making the post and stuff like that. So 2-3 times a day we're posting on social media. But I wouldn't say that that's a strong suit for us by any means.
Sure. How do you guys handle? I know you probably get this. The price shoppers. How much is an inspection? That's the first question. And I'm sure you train your phone folks. How do you have a script for that? What do you do?
Yeah, so I mean, we immediately go to our value proposition at that point, which for us is the warranty. So it could be anything, anybody, but we immediately go to that. And but what we do with so we're looking for an 85% close rate is kind of our goal. We hit right around there almost every month. We hit sometimes 81, 84%, stuff like that. So when you get price shoppers or people that don't close on the phone, we're following up by email. We're following up with phone calls to say a day later, hey, did you book your inspection? Here's a coupon or whatever to book with us, that kind of thing. So we're taking an active role in trying to capture that client that's price shopping. So value proposition, talk to them about all the services we offer, and then you follow up and ask them for the business, because most other companies won't follow up. So they're going to price shop 2 or 3 guys. Nobody else will follow up. So if we follow up and ask them for the business, we'll get it usually.
Awesome. Now, Rob, you mentioned it. I mean, you've been in this business since 89 when you were in 8th grade, following your dad around. So you've seen a lot of changes. And I know nobody has a crystal ball, but our industry's changing, and real estate, the way real estate's being bought and sold is changing. I'm not going to hold you to this, but I mean, you obviously have some ideas. Where do you see the business 5, 10, 15 years? I mean, as an industry, what changes do you see? I mean, or you think? I mean, nobody knows for sure.
I think there's a good chance that in the future, our profit center won't be home inspections anymore. It's going to be auxiliary businesses that we start around our home inspection companies. So I think the companies that are willing to stretch a little bit, open up some, pest control or any other type of business, insurance business or whatever around it, I think those are the ones that are going to be here, when it's all said and done. Because there's a lot of downward pressure on home inspection pricing. We have a very fine, line for, very small margin for error in what we do every single day. So it's getting tougher and tougher to do what we do. So I think there could be a scenario in the future where we're not looking to even make a profit on a home inspection. We're looking to possibly create a lead for other businesses that, either myself owns or somebody else on my team owns, where we can profit that way and offer more of a full service solution to clients and agents that way. So I kind of think that it might be headed in that direction. If I had to take a stab at it.
Right. Now, do you get a lot of pest control business from your home inspection business?
Yep. So our first pest control business from 08 to 14, we didn't do any outside marketing. We only took leads from home inspection at that point. We were able to build up a good sized business and sell it. And we're doing the exact same thing again. So it's all based on doing a termite, pest, and rodent evaluation with our home inspection. So we go out and do that. And then after that's done, we, of course, try to sell service contracts after that. It works pretty well. So it's a really good complement to a home inspection business if you marry them together correctly, and provide the same level of service on both sides. It works pretty good. And you can build, good sized pest control business that's has a high value to it, without ever advertising to the general public.
Sure. And I know, you spoke of diversifying and creating other businesses. I think, you and I know Sean, and you spoke of Drew. I think they're both doing insurance. Am I correct in that? I think. I can't quite remember. Are they getting into
as far as I know, they are, but I think they kind of have the same mindset that I just spoke about. I think they're already taking steps, to diversify some and make sure that they, if the world of home inspection as we see it does change, that they're ready for it. So they're building kind of their own little ecosystem type of deal.
Sure, no, it's smart. I'm dumb, man. I went the other way. I started out. I had home inspection and like termite pest control, but I kind of weaned that off because at the time, now this was 15 years ago, home inspection was so much more profitable as far, and but now I'm like thinking more like diversifying, like you said, and if the home inspection went away, being diversified is a lot. It's a smart way to go, man. It's a smart way to go.
Yeah, but we may be sitting here 10 years from now, we're doing the exact same thing. It's nobody really knows.
Yeah.
But, I definitely want to take some steps in the right direction just in case. I mean, we never thought we'd buy a car over the internet, and people do that all the time now.
It's true. It's true.
There's some things we have to be aware of. We can't as home inspectors stick our head in the sand and think nothing will ever change and we'll be able to do a home inspection and spend 3 hours at a house. That's
sure.
It's going to be forever. We're a young industry that hasn't really been disrupted yet.
Yeah. I'm going to go off script here for a minute because I know you're a smart guy and you and Kat are pretty smart. Are you guys, outside of the business, are you guys making any investments, doing any real estate rentals or anything like that? I'm just curious. Or are you just putting it all back into the business, or what are you guys doing?
No, so we're looking to definitely create passive income. So, a goal of mine is to have 15 different paychecks is one of my life goals. And so to do that, I got to create, passive income. I can't run 15 businesses, of course. So we have, currently we have 2 rental properties. And we're going to be investing in some other businesses and things like that. So, and one of the businesses we're investing in is our pest control company. So it took cash to get that started. And so we had to seed that company and get it off the ground, which it's 4 months old now. So, we're definitely doing that kind of thing, looking to, at this point, we're taking steps to create wealth at this point and passive income for sure. So that's
Megan and I are trying to do the same thing, buying rentals and whatnot. It's not a get rich quick; it's a get rich slow. But there were years I probably lost money, but I tell you, I've got a couple of houses that I've had 15 years that I paid like $80,000 for them. They're worth over 300 now, and I love them. I was like, golly, I wish I'd have bought more of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so there's a smart real estate guy said to me, he said, there's never been a piece of real estate that I sold that I wish I still didn't have.
Yeah.
You know, so he's wishing that he had every piece of real estate he's ever bought. You know.
Oh, I know. And you think about it. I mean, I used to love that game Monopoly when I was a kid. The person who always won was the person who bought as much as they possibly could early on.
Yeah.
They always wound up winning. They ground it out. You know, sooner or later you're gonna land on one of their properties and you have to pay for their hotels and stuff. But I should have learned that life lesson. But it's okay. Well, Rob, we're sort of coming to an end here, and I appreciate all the gold nuggets and stuff you've been sharing. Great stuff. If you went to sleep tonight and woke up in a brand new market, that's kind of a crazy question, but let's just say this happened. You and Kat woke up, you still had your company, you had everything, but you woke up in a brand new market where you didn't know anybody. You had $5,000 to go market. What are you going to do to get to know some people in a hurry, I guess is the question. What are you going to do to get business?
I'm going to find a rock star marketing person. I'm going to hire them. So, and then I'm going to cold call from there because that doesn't cost any money to do that. So that's probably the first thing in a new market. So, you know, I would approach it like, you know, who am I going to find to help me get this going? Not like, how am I going to do it or what am I going to do? I'm going to look for a who when I go into that market. So probably, you know, a really good salesperson that can go out and make the phone ring. Because, you know, you can put those type of people on commission. It doesn't cost you that much money weekly. And then, you know, as you're paying them commission, you're doing inspections. So that's probably how I would attack it. So, you know, we're looking at going to some other markets, and what I'll do is we'll have an inspector there and we'll have a growth person. Those will be the first two people in that market on the ground. And that's the way we'll attack it.
So are you going to try to hire that person from that area or bring somebody from where you are now out there?
No, I'll hire them in the area. So they'll be boots on the ground in whatever market we go to. But they'll report back to my growth director in Atlanta. So we'll run, you know, they'll be on the team in Atlanta virtually, I guess, because we don't have an office, so we're virtual anyway. So we do a lot of these Zoom calls and things like that. So they'll report back to our Atlanta team and be on that team and be held to the same standards that our current people are here in Atlanta as far as the salespeople. But they'll be, you know, on the ground in another market. So I think it can be easily run that way. You don't have to be, you know, having them report to an office or something like that every single day. So it can be done kind of remotely that way.
Yeah, I'm virtual too because I had an office and I never went. I mean, I was always out, you know, doing stuff. I went because I felt guilty. And I mean, we have an office, but it's out of the home. But, you know, everything is like we use technology.
Yeah, and there's just home inspection. I don't know there's really a reason to have an office anymore. You know, and that's one thing that was a fixed expense for us when the recession hit, and we just have never gone back since then. So we do everything virtually. It is a little harder to you know, get that team or the culture thing going. It's a little bit harder to do that when you don't see people every day. So you have to be more intentional about what you do and more intentional about calling your team, you know, people on your team and showing them appreciation and stuff like that. So it presents some challenges for sure. It presents some challenges when we want to have a meeting. You know, a few times a year we have a meeting, we have to like rent space and get something big enough, stuff like that. But I think, you know, as far as going to another market, you can easily do it. Like any one of us can get an inspector and a marketing person and plop them down in another city and run it from the home base. You can run your phone calls and your operations and everything from the home base and get it up and running. You know,
yeah. You got the infrastructure in place already.
Yeah. If you have a solid operations division, you can, you know, you have a lot of room, you have a lot of bandwidth to expand if your operations is solid. And so, you know, if somebody's listening to this thinking about expanding, I would say make sure your operations are spot on. All your systems and processes are hardcore, you know, and your schedulers are tight and you have somebody directing that division. If you have that, you can expand and it won't stretch you or, you know, make you too thin. And so like, we feel like we have that now. So we're about to hit the accelerator.
Nice. Good stuff. Well, Rob, bringing it to a close here, is there anything that I didn't ask you, but I should have?
How many push-ups can I do?
How many push-ups can you do?
All of them. No, I would say, I would say if you really want your business to take off, like you have to treat it like it's a sports game. Like you have to work on yourself as you would if you're preparing to play a basketball game or whatever it is, football game. Like you have to get up in the morning and you have to work on your health. You have to focus. You have to work on what you're eating. You have to work on, how you're going to show up for your teammates, all that stuff. So if you just say, look, my business is like a sports game and I'm going to get focused. I'm going to prepare at night, the night before. I'm going to get up the next morning. I'm going to prepare before the day starts. And I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to be more focused. I'm going to work on myself and learn. I'm going to practice, things on my own to where you can show up huge for your business. And if you do that, between 9 and 5, that's when the game happens. And if you attack it that way, I mean, you'll jump light years ahead if you attack it that way. Most people don't, most people don't do that. And most people aren't willing to kind of work on themselves. That's where it all starts. If you jump in and work on yourself as a leader and, really focus on your health and your energy level and stuff like that, because that's what you can transfer to your people is energy. Like you can't inspire them by just telling them something or with your words. You can inspire them with your energy level and your words when you have high energy. So to constantly kind of working on your energy, and that's preparation for the game to do that. And to do that, to get high energy, you have to work out, you have to eat right, you have to read, you have to listen to podcasts, all that kind of stuff that'll get you in the right space to show up big. And if that happens, that trickles down into your team, and it's just lights out for everybody else when that happens.
Nice. Good way to end it. Anything you want to ask me? And I have no idea what.
How many push-ups can you do?
Not as many as I used to. I don't know, man. I echo everything you said. I'm a guy who pushed it really hard in everything I've ever done. But I haven't always took myself out and replaced myself very well so that I can scale. And that's my Achilles heel. And I'm working on it. So inspire me.
I think the first thing is realizing it, and you know what, I'm in the way. And once you do that, you can take steps to get out of the way. And that's probably the second hardest thing to hiring the first inspector and getting out of the field. Everybody struggles with getting out of the field. Most never do it, but once you actually have an operation going and a team you're starting to build, you got to get out of the way at some point. It's really hard, and you really have to work on it, internally so it'll happen. And I still struggle with it. Kat struggles with it all the time. We're like, hey, I can just do that. I can do it quicker than, so-and-so can get it done. I can probably do it better than them, but you got to get out of the way and let your people flourish, or you'll never grow. You'll get to a point and you might grow, but you're going to bootstrap it all the way there, and you're going to kill yourself. You're going to work 20 hours a day, and then you're going to hit a ceiling because there's only so far you can go. And Kat and I hit that last year, and we hit it. But like I said, we were really successful from the outside looking in. We had one of the biggest inspection businesses there is in the country or whatever. But we were hitting a ceiling, and it just took a while for us to realize it and be like, hey, there's another way to do this. And once that happens, the business will take off, and it'll just crush ceilings when you get out of the way. And it's really counterintuitive, like I said, to do it and to figure out, okay, how am I going to pay people to do what I do? But you pay somebody to manage all your inspectors, and you can take your focus from managing your inspectors over to your growth division and say, I'm going to focus on, getting growth churning really good. Whatever you're paying that guy to manage your inspectors, you'll 10x it, with changing your focus to something else.
Right.
So
good stuff, brother. Good stuff. Well, for all the listeners out there who got some gold nuggets from Rob, and you did. I mean, I got tons. We want to give you some love. Where can they find you to go like your business page on Facebook? I think that helps a little bit with SEO and stuff. And if they wanted to know more about you, also could they? So tell us all your internet properties where people can find you and give you some likes and that sort of thing.
Oh, just Residential Inspector of America. You can find us on Facebook. Residentialinspector.com is our website. You can email me if you have questions, rob@residentialinspector.com. I'm always available. We're pretty much an open book with our company. I mean, if somebody wants some help, I don't know all the answers, but if somebody wants some help or has questions, I'm happy to do it. I don't care if you're in my market or in my backyard. I don't care. If you want some help and
awesome. That's awesome, brother. What is it again? It's residential inspections.
Residentialinspector.com.
Residentialinspector.com. And that's what it is on Facebook as well.
Yeah, I think so.
In Atlanta.
I don't know. Social media is not my thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I challenge everybody who listened here, if you got one thing you can use, and I know you did, go find that on Facebook and like him. I think that'll help him out a lot. And Rob, I just want to say thank you so much, brother. I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir, man. Thanks for having me.